So in looking at the ready problems, we have to decide if a sequence is arithmetic or geometric. So first, as I look at number 1, it goes 5, 10, 15. I notice that I am constantly adding 5. So to fill in the blanks, from 15 plus 5, I get 20. And 30 plus 5, I get 35. So over here, this has a common difference. The common difference is 5. And then this is arithmetic. Now I'm going to take this a step further and write an equation. So my first term, u sub 1, is 5. And then I'm going to use the equation for the first term. So y equals u sub 1 plus d. And then since I start from the first term, we have to put n minus 1. And then I just substitute my numbers. So y is equal to 5 plus 5 times n minus 1. Looking at number 2, it goes 20, 10, and then over here, that's 2.5. So since I'm not decreasing by 2.5, it looks like my number is being divided by 2. Well, that means it's not a common difference. It is a common ratio. And if we're dividing by 2, we have to express that idea as multiplying. So what fraction would I multiply that does the same as dividing by 2? Well, you would actually multiply by the reciprocal. So dividing by 2 is the same as multiplying. The reciprocal of dividing by 2 over 1 is multiplying by 1/2. So my common ratio here is 1/2. And then this also is geometric. Now for your geometric equation, you can write this in a couple ways. First, this is my first term. You could go back and find the 0 term and just multiply by 2 and it's 40. So we could say, well, u sub 0 here is 40. And then you could write the general form if you start from u sub 0, y equals u sub 0 times my common ratio to the end, or y equals 40 times 2 to the n. So looking at my set problems, we have to again decide if it's arithmetic or geometric. So here I notice I'm adding 2, so my common difference is 2. And then u sub 1, my first term, is 2. This is arithmetic. So my recursive formula, we just start u sub 1, define your first term is 2. And then u sub n equals the previous term, u sub n minus 1. And then plus my common difference, which is 2. And then my explicit equation, again, it's just y is equal to, my starting term is 2, plus my common difference is 2. And since I started at the first term, we have to put times n minus 1. Looking at number 6, it looks like I'm multiplying by 2. So this is geometric. So on here, our recursive formula, we just say, well, u sub 1 is 2. And then u sub n equals, well, my common ratio, 2, is going to be multiplied by the term before it, so n minus 1. And then our explicit formula. So I'm going to use, again, y equals u sub 0 times r to the n, which the 0 term, if I work backwards, I'm multiplying by 2. So the 0 term, 2 divided by 2 would be 1. So y equals 1 times my common ratio is 2 because I'm multiplying by 2. And then to the n. Or this would just be y equals 2 to the n. And then in working through, just a couple other problems. So down here, if I have a table, I notice that here we go from 3 to 7. I add 4. And I add 4. So this is going to be arithmetic. And then again, for an arithmetic equation, I define the first term. U sub 1 is 3. And then my recursive formula, U sub n equals U sub n minus 1, plus my common difference, which is I'm adding 4. And then my explicit equation, again, we put y is equal to, we're going to start with the first term, so 3 plus, my common difference is 4. And then since I started from the first term, we put n minus 1. And then here, it looks like I'm multiplying to get to the next number. But we have to figure out, well, what am I multiplying by? So what do I multiply 5 by to turn it into 8? So my common ratio is going to be 8 divided by 5. And I'm going to turn that into a decimal. So 8 divided by 5 is 1.6. So R equals 1.6. And then if I go backwards and go, well, what's 5 divided by 1.6? U sub 0 equals 3.125. So our recursive rule, you can just say U sub 0 equals 3.125. And then my U sub n term equals my common ratio, 1.6 times U sub n minus 1. And then our explicit equation, again, this is just of the form y equals U sub 0 times r to the n. So we just substitute in our numbers. So y is equal to, again, U sub 0 is 3.125. And then my common ratio is 1.6. And then to the n power. And then over here, I'm just going to work through a few of these. So Scott decided to add an exercise routine, and he runs 1 mile the first week, and then he doubles it each week. So again, that's geometric. And then the first week, U sub 1 equals 1 mile. And the common ratio, if he's doubling it, is 2. So if I go backwards, that means U sub 0 equals the first week, but instead of multiplied by 2, it's divided by 2. So to write the explicit equation, again, it's y is equal to, for a geometric, you start with the 0 term, so U sub 0 times r to the n, which is equal to 1/2 times 2 to the n. So I'll let you guys work through the rest of those.